Hi folks, Florida Man here. Today I'm bringing you a joint after-action report recorded with Owl on a live game that we played together on playdiplomacy.com. The game was titled Test to TDS, although I really have not the faintest clue why. Please enjoy. Hello Owl, or Hunter. Good to be speaking with you again. Now we've played a game together.
Yeah, it was great to play our first game together.
I had a good time. It went a little bit off the rails in a couple
I
of places.
survived. I was in the draw.
You were in the draw. I think that was a victory for you, really, because of the ups and downs this game held for your particular position. I was not as happy with how it went, but I did have fun. It was a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, I agree.
For the audience, I played as Germany. You played
Turkey.
I don't know if you remember what you were thinking in spring 1901 of this game.
Yeah, so this was a live game, so it was a bit of a rush. Okay, so what happened in 1901? So I sent a message to Russia. So you see I moved to the Black Sea.
Yes.
So I sent a message to Russia, asking for a bounce in the Black Sea, and then at the last minute when there's only 1 minute left, Russia sends me a message saying, I'm not moving to the Black Sea. If you move to the Black Sea, you clearly aren't interested in allying with me. Like, I asked them for a bounce previously. So then just like 1 minute before the deadline, they send me this message. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? So I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. That's kind of, it's weird when somebody tries to get you to take that on trust, I feel like. That we're both staying out of the Black Sea, suddenly, at the last minute, in the live game, when you haven't had this first season.
Yeah, so I suggested a bounce, but then at the last minute he tells me, no, I refuse to ally with you if you move there. I mean, you'll notice later, like, I didn't use that fleet there to attack him because, I don't know. I don't think Russia should just, tell Turkey, I refuse to ally with you just because they moved to Black Sea.
I don't think so either.
Because the thing is, later on Italy went after Austria, so I would have been willing to, work with Russia and move west together, but when he told me, I refuse to ally with you, I felt like I was forced to work with Austria.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that a lot of the times people will back you into a corner and basically make you work against them.
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable.
Yeah, so one piece of advice to all the players out there, I don't think you should ever tell somebody, I refuse to ally with you, the bridges are burned, because that's not
very constructive.
Yeah.
As for me in the West, my initial approach as Germany was to talk to both England and France as quickly as I could and discuss allying with both of them. And I was hoping I could see which one of them would actually open in a way that was meaningfully friendly to me. And England helped by actually opening in a way that was overtly hostile to France.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably why I ended up siding with England, was just that unlike France, England was ready to go hardcore allying with me very decisively from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's the most hostile opening there is towards France.
Yep, and I did appreciate it because I felt like, half of the work has almost been done already because I think it's going to be very difficult, especially in the live game, for France and England to turn their relationship around. So if they're going to continue to butt heads, there's no reason not to just jump on that.
Yeah. One other thought I have, I often preferred this openings in England because in addition to being very effective, also I think usually I actually like Germany to take Belgium, and then usually it's reasonable for me to get Sweden later, and I think Sweden is a center I'm more likely to keep for at least a while.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You're right. Sweden is more defensible for England than Belgium.
Yeah.
With Germany right there.
Yes, when I'm Germany, I like to have, support England into Belgium and take Sweden for myself because, you can easily take Belgium later for a stab. But so this is the opening I prefer when I'm England.
Smart, I think. Yeah, I think if you have a Germany that's not building fleets, which if he's allied with England, England is hopefully going to be making sure Germany's not devoting resources to fleet building.
Yeah.
If he's not building fleets, he's going to have a lot of trouble getting Sweden away from England later.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's see how the fall went. So with the fall, you see that I did end up supporting England into Belgium. I bounced Russia out of Sweden because Russia is just not making any friendly noises at me that would make me feel inclined to help
Yeah,
him out.
yeah, and you can also see that Russia, made some aggressive moves against me just because I moved to Black Sea.
Yeah, it was a dumb move too
Yeah,
because
and I didn't bounce him there or anything. Like I didn't use that fleet to move to Sevastopol or anything. I just maybe I should have.
yeah, I was thinking like if he was going to do that, it would have been funny if you had supported Bulgaria into Romania. Then he'd have an unfriendly Turkish player on his hands.
Yeah.
Um, but you didn't do that because, understandably, you were still trying to maintain the possibility of working with either of them.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I didn't realize that Italy was going to stab Austria. I mean, if Italy stabbed Austria, but because Italy moved to Piedmont, so I wasn't really sure there was going to be an Italian-Austrian alliance, or if all three were going to go after me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I didn't want to burn my bridges with Russia just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, and Italy is making some kind of strange moves here.
I thought it was pretty effective.
It did end up being kind of effective because he got Trieste, and so he's starting off the game with 2 builds, and he's poised to take Vienna as well.
Yeah. It was good.
Austria decided to trust him and go against Russia.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting opening. That's one of the more effective ways I think Italy should attack Austria, because sometimes I see them, just move to Trieste in 1901, or they just do the Tyrolean attack, but that has no element of surprise.
That is
So, he moves to Piedmont, making it look like he's going after France or something, but then he just, gets in there, and he's also in a position to support himself into Vienna.
Yeah, you're right. That was a pretty strong opening, ultimately.
Yeah.
It was well disguised.
Yeah. Also, another thought I have for Italy players, I think you should never, if you want to attack, maybe it can sometimes work to attack Austria, but I never recommend you make an aggressive move in spring 1901. Try to do it by surprise. And also, here's another thing. A lot of times I see the Italian player get Trieste, but sometimes that's as far as they go, and they can never get more than that. So make sure you're in a position to take, a second center like Vienna or Budapest or something. Because, you need to be sure you can go past Trieste, or else Turkey's or Russia's just going to gobble everything up.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that might be why Italy going after Austria is usually so unsuccessful, because it's usually Italy got Trieste, and that's it. And then it's over. Then the rest of them is just trying to defend Trieste.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else about this season you feel needs some comments?
Well, I guess maybe Austria should have considered the hedgehog. Things would have gone better for him. The thing is, I actually told Austria, Russia pretty much told me he wasn't willing to ally with me, so I said, I'm on board if you're on board.
Well, Austria seems to have taken your word and actually moves in a way that's hostile to Russia. The problem is that Austria had this false impression that Italy had opened in a way that was friendly toward Austria, and got burned by that.
Yeah, when I started playing early on, I guess I was one of those people. It wasn't something that was smart. I'll admit it. Early on, when I got started early in the game, I thought, the Austro-Turkish alliance was an abomination. Later on, though, I realized that wasn't true, because I tried it.
I agree.
For a long time, I thought the hedgehog was a bad opening, because it kind of just means you don't trust Italy and you can't have Italy as your ally. But if you have Turkey, but the thing is, if Italy was going to, attack you anyway, it's better, and then you can defend yourself with Turkey's help.
Yeah, I think it can be a decent opening. I think really here Austria should have considered moving Vienna to Trieste in the fall, which isn't exactly what I think of as the hedgehog, but it would have deflected the attack here. And because Austria would have had his builds in Vienna and Budapest.
Yeah, because Italy did move to Piedmont, but you kind of have to wonder, why is Italy's army in Venice? Does he need that there? I'm not touching Venice. He doesn't have to defend that.
There's no necessity for that. You're right, and if Austria had more time to reflect, maybe they would have figured it out. But but I think most players will miss kind of a subtle cue like that if they see the big obvious move that Italy went to Piedmont. Most players will miss that maybe Italy is intending to distract with that.
Yeah,
we'll look at that and just see what Italy intended them to see. The only other thing that I think is worthy of note is that because England and Italy both opened in ways that seemed hostile to France, France pushed all of his units back into home centers to try and defend them. And as a result, France did not get a single build.
Oh, I don't know if those were good moves.
I don't think they were. I think in that situation, you risk losing the home centers. You just risk it. There was absolutely no reason for Picardy to support Brest or to support Mid-Atlantic Ocean into Brest anyway.
Yeah.
Picardy could have moved to Brest, while Mid-Atlantic Ocean moved to Portugal or Spain.
Yeah, I mean,
France would do that with the Spain unit, though.
yeah, he could have got 2 builds.
Yeah, he could have, and he needed them, really, because I think in this game we're going to see that England and I are going to make pretty good work of France, if I remember rightly. In the fall, or in the build phase, I actually missed my chance to build because live games, the build phases are 5 minutes on Play Diplomacy, and I guess I might have got up for a minute or something. And we see Russia builds an army in Warsaw. Probably that was what was necessary for the threats that confronted him in the south. England built 2 fleets, kind of typical, really. Fleet Liverpool. Italy built an army into fleet, which is another fairly strong choice for Italy, I think, in this situation. What do you think about the builds? Anything you wanted to say? Saw you got a fleet.
Because I was worried, Italy might come after me. I don't know. Maybe I did. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could have built an army, but, the Aegean Sea, who knows?
Yeah, hard to let someone into the Aegean or East Med. Those are pretty important spaces for Turkey. So I definitely understand you building a fleet at this point.
Yeah.
Now, the very next spring, we see Russia continuing to come after you for reasons that are probably known only to Russia. And Russia's also coming after me now. And the reason why is because I bounced him out of Sweden earlier.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I actually saw it coming. I blocked part of his attack by moving Denmark to Baltic Sea, and so he only got into Silesia. And I also had moved 1 unit back from Holland to Kiel, and so I'm prepared to at least make a little bit of defense there. And at the same time, I was able to advance a unit from Ruhr to Burgundy. So even though I'm under attack and I didn't get built, so I'm sort of doing all right here. And England, meanwhile, did get builds and so is doing very well against our shared enemy, is already in the Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which I think is pretty rare for England in 1902.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, France didn't play well.
No. And Italy is also renewing the apparent attack on France.
Yeah.
Which is kind of humorous.
Yeah, I guess he smelled the blood.
Yeah. I don't believe there was a whole lot of coordination between me and Italy or anything either. It was just Italy choosing to attack people kind of opportunistically when they seemed weak. And, I get that. Italy's looking for routes of expansion, and France and Austria are both natural routes of expansion for Italy.
Yeah.
But, kudos to you getting Romania.
Yeah.
And protecting the Aegean Sea from possible intrusions.
Yeah.
Anything about this season jump out to you that you want to mention to the audience?
So Austria also supported me into Romania. I guess I didn't need the support, but he did that anyway. I was a bit displeased by this army in Armenia.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, but I managed to hold out, though.
Oh yeah, I know you do, because you self-bounce in Smyrna and protect against the advancement of that army, and you also help Austria to get into Sevastopol. So Russia is just letting his forces be scattered and his centers be taken because he is suiciding into you and suiciding into me.
Yeah.
And I think Russia's play here is actually the example kind of what not to do in general.
Yeah.
Because France made some unlucky guesses, but Russia is just committing to what I think is kind of a dumb style of play.
Yeah.
France makes some poor decision to not commit to the game or something, maybe because he kind of felt like it was over.
Yeah. I think they surrendered later.
I think you're right, which is a shame. France is in the English Channel at this point. France has moves.
Yeah.
France has a lot of play left in his game, France could have supported himself into Belgium. France could have convoyed onto the English island. France could have defended Paris. France really could have done a lot of things.
Yeah.
But instead, France gives up, and Italy and I walk right into his centers. I believe Italy actually asked me for support into Marseille, and I just said something like, Italy, get real, please, right now. You're expanding very quickly, and you've done nothing at all for me. This move against France was not something I asked for, or something that England and I needed. Like, if you want to grab some French centers, go right ahead. I'm not really going to help you right now because I have my own troubles.
That makes sense.
But good teamwork between you and Austria.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know why he decided to do what he did later.
We see Russia did get into Munich here. I picked the wrong thing to defend. I defended Berlin instead of Munich with my Kiel army because I just guessed incorrectly. And so he messages me something like he kind of gloats about having taken Munich, and I said, "Yeah, but I'm going to take it right back."
Of course.
I'm still growing. I have a build anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have any other armies near there, and you're going to have to destroy stuff.
Oh, well, actually, if you hadn't taken Paris, though, if France had protected Paris, you might not have gotten a build.
I still have the builds I banked because I still have 4 centers.
That's true. Yeah, that's true also. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so actually catching up to the number of builds I should have is something that's going to take a few years for me here. Italy continues to advance against Austria. You and Austria make progress against Russia, and I know what happens later with Austria, but tell me, at this point, did you feel like you and Austria had a tight alliance? Were you getting along well?
Absolutely. I mean, he was upset at Italy and Russia for some, maybe Russia said bad things to him. I mean, I just was very surprised by it. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, I understand. We'll get more into that when we get to that, I guess. So build phase, no really big surprises here. I think you get an army now because you're not really being threatened at sea at the moment, and presumably you're going to need that. Although I think that's probably something that Austria can expect to be directed at them in the future.
I don't know about that. I mean,
because
I just want to get Russia out of Armenia. Austria didn't seem to have any objection against it.
I was just thinking you could have already gotten Russia out of Armenia. If you built a fleet there, it would have also gotten Russia out of Armenia. You just have to use Black Sea to support Ankara into Armenia.
Oh, that's true.
So I was thinking maybe Austria saw that move, saw that build as a threat.
I don't think so. He didn't mention that.
Let me see. Italy builds another fleet and army combo. That continues to be something that's effective for him at this point, I think. I mean, he's going to need fleets if he wants to eventually go and deal with you and maybe grab another French center or two.
Yeah. So Austria never actually objected to me building the army, but also, I mean, he's getting destroyed by Italy. So, like, most of the time when I'm playing as Turkey and this has happened to Austria, he doesn't really care about me building armies anyway, because he just kind of wants revenge on Italy.
I understand.
I mean, he never mentioned any issue with my building the army. He didn't mention that.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, and if he did have an issue with it, that's the kind of thing you ought to mention, I would think.
Yeah.
Is that he preferred you not to build armies, which is something I think a lot of Austrians trying to work with Turkey will say to Turkey, because Austria is much more of a land power than any other country on the map, I would say, and probably wants a certain amount of security on land, especially when, as in this case, Austria's centers on land kind of surround the Turkish centers on land. No other real surprises here. England builds another fleet in his first army, and I build an army. Russia doesn't have any builds. And then we come to the spring, and Russia managed to support himself back into Sevastopol. But at the same time, he did lose Munich, and continues to not know how to use his fleet in Gulf of Bothnia effectively. I mean, He doesn't defend St. Petersburg, which should have been kind of a layup for him.
Yeah.
Austria is still playing defense against Italy, and it's just looking tougher and tougher for Austria at this point. And you took Armenia, so you're poised to help Austria retake Sevastopol or take it for yourself as you choose in the fall. And Italy continues to move against both Austria and what remains of France. But I think it's fair to say England and I feel entitled to have the lion's share of France at this point. And they're not that interested in Italy interfering and trying to have some of that. So you see England actually supporting Spain to hold, because with France not issuing orders, Italy would have probably been able to support himself in otherwise. And I move out of Paris into Burgundy so that I can probably help England attack Marseille, or get support into Marseille myself, or be able to deal more with Russia's unit being where it is. And do you have anything in particular you wanted to say about this season?
Well, I was still working with Austria. He seemed like he was my friend. I mean, I talked to him about Sevastopol, and he actually suggested that I take it.
Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, did he know where he was going to go next? Did he have thoughts on that?
I guess he just kind of thought he was doomed and just wanted me to take it.
So he's in the giving up on the game stage.
Yeah.
And I guess this is probably about where he starts to be co-opted by Italy.
Yeah, I don't understand why, though. I mean, I don't really get it, though. I mean, I never attacked him or anything.
No, I know.
And he also told me to move into Sevastopol.
Yeah. And we see that you do.
Yeah, actually, something he said later, like, I guess this is when it happened. Like, he said, like, I guess he started posting that thing in the public press.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked him, like, are you upset with me or something? He said, oh, no, but, that maybe that misorder might have been intentional. And I said, what misorder? I mean, you told me you were okay with me taking Sevastopol. And then he said, oh, yeah, that's true. Well, that hasn't changed my decision.
Maybe he got confused in the heat of the live game.
I mean, okay, but also if he wants it back, I can give it back to him if he wants. But he just said it was like he said it was a misword. And I said, that's, I mean, we talked about that. You said it was okay with you, and then he's just saying, oh yeah, that's true, but that doesn't change my decision in any way.
That's pretty strange. I will grant.
Yeah. So then later he told me later, like he just gave up. So he basically just said, it's impossible for me to attack Italy now, and I can do more damage against you. And I just said, well, if you just hold on, I might be able to get some fleets into the Ionian and help you fight England. But he said, no, I don't like defensive warfare.
Well, I think there are probably a lot of people like that who don't have the patience to play a long game, basically, in diplomacy.
Yeah, so he just pretty much said, he doesn't like defensive warfare, and, he just felt like he could do more damage to me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong to him.
No, I get it. Some people are just going to be like that, unfortunately. I even thought at the time that it was pretty bad what you were being subjected to at the hands of Austria.
Also, I mean, I could have also gotten to the Ionian without much difficulty. I mean, once I'm in the Ionian, maybe I could have, helped him attack Italy. I don't know. I mean, I think I could have helped him.
I think so, too. I think it's a shame that the two of you didn't manage to stay united. And, his fault, really. Speaking of the Ionian, Italy, not really doing anything to reinforce that. Yeah. Everything he has is moving west, really, or holding steady. He's trying to move so that he'll finally be able to take Spain. He's devoting 2 fleets and an army to this front, and I think this is probably kind of a questionable decision on his part. I mean, I don't think he has a chance of taking it, really, unless England and I change our minds. I don't know. I think this was one of the less clever decisions on his part during the game. But I don't know what else he would have done except for move those forces against you, which I think would have made sense, and is why you moved Igi into Eastmed, anticipating that he would move Ionian out east.
Yeah.
Was Italy trying to get some kind of a friendly relations, some kind of alliance with you?
Yeah, he asked me to support him into Greece. I mean, I assumed my ally was Austria, though, so I didn't help him with that. Maybe I should have, though.
I don't think so, because like I said earlier, Italy asked me for support into Marseille. Italy was kind of a taker. He was just trying to take stuff. But
He didn't really offer me anything in exchange. He just said, let me help me take Greece so we can destroy Austria quickly.
Yeah,
It's also kind of clear at this point that I was allied with Austria, so I don't know why he'd assume that. I want that.
Yeah, I think Italy was like one of those more kind of shallow thinking players who just sees an opportunity and has to grab at it no matter what.
Yeah, well, he did well.
In a live game, if you just keep focused on the prize, you can do well with that kind of thinking sometimes. Other times, you just get totally wrecked because you tick off multiple players quickly.
Yeah.
If the Austrian player had been more cautious at the beginning, Italy wouldn't have done well with that.
Yeah, that's true.
But we see Italy does continue to do all right.
Yes, then Austria just starts throwing their centers to Italy. This is kind of strange because normally when I'm playing as Turkey, Austria does the opposite. They just want revenge on Italy and Russia.
In this season, we're seeing more of Italy butting heads against England and making no progress whatsoever, and even uselessly moving his fleet out of Tyrolia into Piedmont to try and just have an extra army to throw there, which is not going to help him at all. He does, however, walk into Budapest and Greece because Austria, as you pointed out, just started sort of randomly just attacking you instead of the person who he'd been fighting this whole time.
Yeah, and he just throws their centers to him. Like, as I said, I expected him to throw his centers to me, but oh well.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate and understandably disappointing. Meanwhile, Russia and I are still kind of tangling. Russia is just flailing with very little force at this point, like a balloon that's had all the air let out of it, just sort of flopping around ineffectually. And I'm getting ready to get Warsaw, hopefully. England is looking really strong to me, though, here. I'm a little worried about the possibility of England eventually getting frustrated with fighting Italy and turning on me, because I could definitely see how Italy's position could be defensible indefinitely at this point. Because even though Italy's not advancing at all, Italy absolutely has the ability to defend Marseille, defend the Mediterranean against any advances. With that army now in Piedmont, with 2 fleets in the west of the Mediterranean, and especially with the fact that he's still gaining builds. So I am getting worried about that right now.
Yeah, that's true. It looks almost like a stalemate line.
Yeah, it's pretty close to being a stalemate in this region, I think. And we see that, it looks like France actually entered an order here, I think. Oh, wait, no. Italy tried to move Marseille into Spain. We might have even, I or England might have even promised him that we'd let him do it or support him into it. Probably England said that. But that leads to me getting to Marseille.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's good. But it's a center I can only defend with English help.
Yeah.
And England is, still seeking to expand as well. So England got into North Africa, which is excellent for England. And unfortunately, though, Italy is really starting to get into a very defensible position in the west of the Mediterranean. And with the number of builds he keeps on getting, and the fact that most of the Italian units continue to be fleets, there's very little likelihood of a breakthrough at this point in the Mediterranean. On the bright side, I asked Austria to support me into Moscow, and Austria just helpfully agreed to do it. Don't really know why. Austria said something about how they thought they owed me a favor because I might have done something for them earlier. I think it was because I bounced Russia out of Sweden.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of funny that Austria tried to remembered some old debt that they thought they had to me and decided to act on it, and just turned on you for no good reason.
Hmm.
Um,
And just threw all their centers to Italy. It was suicide.
yeah, sometimes players can be really erratic in their behavior and decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically suicide.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it wasn't a live game that was going by so quickly, he would have had time to calm down
I
and
think so,
think
because live
rationally.
games can be kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
At this point, because I saw that there was very little chance of us advancing in the Mediterranean, I think it's at this point that I actually make my stab against England, which is I think surprising to England because it's not a very effectual stab, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'm not in a great position, but I'm convinced that England is going to come after me soon because there's just no growing where Italy is positioned as well as he is in the Med, and so the only person England could conceivably attack is me. So when I'm in that situation where I feel like I'm likely to be attacked because my ally has literally nowhere else to go, I will tend to engage in proactive self-defense.
That makes sense.
Launch a preemptive strike and destroy their warfighting capability before they have the chance to do the same to me.
Yeah.
Do unto others before they have the chance to do unto you. At this point, you're locked into a defensive war against Italy. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's anything you want to tell me about that.
Well, I think it was smart of me to just keep my fleets because I mean, it was unlikely, but I thought eventually Italy might try to get a fleet into Bulgaria because he was just focusing on just crazy about that, and I think that was right.
Hmm. I do think you ended up being right with keeping your fleets because I think if you hadn't, I think that it's the navies that are the choke point for getting into Turkey right here.
Yeah.
Like no number of armies will help him.
Yeah, I'm also glad I helped you get into Sevastopol because that stopped Italy from going through into Armenia.
Yeah, I'm also happy about that because I am starting a war with England and I need any build I can get right now.
Yeah,
I had managed to, I think, I tried to sort of talk my way out of having moved to the North Sea, but I just immediately moved to the Channel from there and continued sort of trying to reposition so that I'd be able to effectively fight England. Very difficult before this, but now I have a couple more fleets, and so I am able to position to attack Sweden and to take Brest and or London, and I also have Gascony now, so I could even maybe defend Marseille from Italy by myself if necessary. So a few things are changing in my position that could arguably be considered improvements. But I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about being in this position at
yeah,
the time. Even at the time, I'm aware this is not a great position to be in as a Germany who's stabbing England. But at least it's not terrible. And at least England is not in the North Sea, and England's fleets are kind of scattered all over the place, and most of them are pinned down in a front with Italy right now. And I actively try to make an alliance with Italy at this point. I think I've been actively trying for a little while now because I was worried about England, and Italy is mouthing the words of friendship, but in reality, he's having none of it. He goes into Galicia just as I'm moving out of Warsaw, and I know that that's a bad sign.
yeah.
I know that doesn't mean anything good, so I kind of tell him to get out of there. I see you're taking Bulgaria here. You want to tell me more about your...
I don't know if that. I mean, there was no real point to doing that. I guess I just did it because I could, but I knew I was going to be pushed out later.
Well, why not try and get us an extra center and
Yeah,
maintain your current number of units? because you're probably about to lose Sevastopol, and you very understandably would want to keep or try to keep Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And we do see Ukraine and Budapest bounce in Romania. So if Austria and Italy kept bouncing there, you could have kept Bulgaria indefinitely.
That's true. The next I think Austria's surrender was replaced, but they didn't make moves. The replacement didn't move at all.
I think that the replacement did move to Romania again. So the replacement did that, and I was also suspicious of Italy at this point, so I bounced him out of Warsaw, kept him from getting that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, unfortunately, regardless of suspicions, I knew I wouldn't be able to defend Marseille, and I didn't even try, really.
So Italy took Marseille.
Yes, and at the same time, England took Paris from me. I did get Sweden, London, and Sevastopol, so I'm actually, net up one center, but I'm also now fighting a two-front war, and so I'm very uncomfortable with this situation.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare that's just unfolding before me, and I need to do whatever I can to reverse course here. I know I made some missteps. I tried to stab England too soon. It's become apparent. England was apparently still intending to stay true to our alliance, at least for a little while longer. And Italy, at the same time, was just totally untrustworthy and completely unworthy of being collaborated with, because you couldn't even work with a single person for a single season.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying that the Italian player was just a taker, because I know that Italy didn't work with Austria, really, until Austria was willing to just throw centers to him. Didn't work with you. Didn't work with England. Didn't work with France. Didn't work with me.
Anyone.
Didn't work with a single other person, really, for the entire game.
I also don't think he was really working with Austria. I think he just, taking the centers off for Austria's offering to throw them.
Exactly. No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, those are all examples of how Italy basically didn't use the basics of teamwork in this whole game, which is not great on his part. And we see that I did, even though I had all my home centers full, or all of my home centers empty, they're all full of builds this season because I only got one net additional center from the previous year, but I still had deferred builds because of that early 1901 misstep.
I see.
So I'm actually very well equipped to defend against Italy now, in terms of just having the right number of armies for it. And I also got a fleet because I can continue fighting England if necessary. I'm actually, I'm not in terrible shape. I'm just not comfortable with this situation diplomatically. And we see that I'm still moving in a way that's overtly hostile toward England, and also I am doing what I need to do to try and keep Austria from perhaps walking into one of my centers. And
I don't see why Austria would do that, since he can't build.
Well, Austria only has the one unit and only had the one center, and it's being taken by Italy right here. So if Austria had walked into one of my centers, it would have just kept Austria alive.
That's true.
But Austria doesn't do that, and so Austria is out. And at this point, though, Italy, because England is pulling back more and more forces to deal with me, quite understandably, frankly, Italy is just walking through what was previously a wall for him.
Yeah.
And through no merit of Italy's own, other than his usual opportunism, I have, due to my own mistakes, created this opportunity for him to successfully attack both me and England, and mostly England, honestly. So Italy, at this point, is approaching a place where he'll be able to potentially claim a solo victory.
Yeah. I think I mentioned Italy was a solo threat. I think he's not a bad player at all, though. He's pretty good. I mean, when you're playing Italy, you have to be opportunistic.
I think there's opportunistic, but I think being a team player is also important to playing as Italy. You have to be able to build coalitions.
That's true.
Italy just didn't do that a single time in this game, and if he had been able to do that on top of being the kind of opportunistic player he is, I think he would have won, because of the mistakes I was making, and because of the fact that I offered to support him in Spain. I offered to do that, and I was basically going to have to pull to keep only a minimal force in the east because I was planning on doing a lot to invade England. Italy would have had opportunities to get all of Iberia, maybe get an English home center or something, or Brest, and then he could have stabbed me for the solo.
Yeah.
And he also probably would have continued advancing against you at least a little bit, although, somehow he manages to get himself pushed back there because he didn't devote an adequate amount of resources. So I don't think Italy's a bad tactician. That's how the opportunism works well.
Yeah.
But I think that his strategy is really kind of lacking here because if he had actually tried to make an alliance with anyone at any point, he could have done better.
I agree. I have another thought. I think if somebody wants to stab England, the best way to do that is to convoy an army onto the island. I mean, I think if either France or Germany just keeps attacking England with only fleets, it's just going to take forever.
I think it does take a long time that way, you're right. And with armies, it can be very quick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so I think it's going to take too long. And, by the time I think you're long before you're going to be able to actually finish off England, you'll have somebody else coming after you.
I think, that's what it's looking like in this game. Especially because England had all these far-flung centers, so he has a lot of, life force to draw upon. That I'm not going to get anywhere near any of the home centers, other than maybe London. I think I'm well equipped to take London again right now, just because England is not defending himself as well as he could be, perhaps. And if I had an army in a coastal center here, I would be able to convoy into London with support from the Channel. But that isn't what happens here, because I believe this is where your diplomacy starts to make a difference in this game.
I saved everyone.
Yes. I think if you had not initiated this chat, it's very unlikely that England would have listened if it was just coming from me. Because England even had objections to listening to it when you came up with it because of me having stabbed England earlier. So I actually continue attacking him because he didn't agree to work with us. But that doesn't continue for long. I took London back again, and at the same time Italy took Portugal, and you're in the chat, in the messages, you're basically yelling at us now, we have to work together. Italy is going to solo. Stop fighting. And I expressed my willingness to do that. And my willingness even to give England back London at this point, because that's not constructive, me occupying London. And I say I'll move English Channel to Irish Sea and London to Channel. I think I asked for England to support me into the Irish Sea.
Can he do that? I mean, I guess he can with North Atlantic.
Oh, it looks like Italy bounced me, actually, trying to take.
Yeah, he did. Also, I remember England got upset saying you didn't move out of London, but I pointed out to him that that's because you were bounced in the Irish Sea.
Yes. So England loses London for right now, but I and England do form an alliance against Italy. At this point, I think Italy kind of can see the writing becoming increasingly clear on the wall, because I have the number of armies necessary to stop him in the center. I just need to support myself into Warsaw, and we will have the stalemate line, the north-south stalemate line overland, and we clearly have enough fleets to stop him at sea.
Yeah. You were able to completely block his. You were able to completely block him from any possible further expansion into the north, and also, it was impossible to go after me. So.
I mean, even if he had eventually taken all of your centers as well, although you're right, it was impossible for him to do that. Even if he had managed to, it wouldn't have gotten him the solo at this point.
Maybe, but he could. I mean, eventually he might have been able to get Sevastopol, though.
Oh yeah, that's true. But that, let me see.
Anyway, well, I'm glad he didn't take my centers.
Me too. But even if he did get Sevastopol as well as your centers, he would have, let's see, 4 with these, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, you're right, 18.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So we really
So
dodged a bullet with this one.
yeah, so I think protecting my centrist was pretty important
Yes, yes, it was.
because then he's just one center away.
In retrospect, I think it's possible maybe Italy could have won this one. Um, but no, I see how it's very difficult. Actually, next to impossible, because he can't take Sevastopol as long as Moscow supports it.
Mm-hmm.
He can't cut Moscow from anywhere unless he gets into Warsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't get Warsaw with just Ukraine and Galicia as long as Prussia or Silesia is there to support it. And he can't take me out of Silesia because he can't support an attack on it because he only has Galicia next to it. And yeah, this well, he could have taken Bohemia. If he took Bohemia, then he could have taken Silesia, and then he could have taken Warsaw. And so there is a long, difficult path for him to win this, I think.
I think the thing is, even if he took Warsaw, well, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing: even if he took Warsaw, Moscow, and Sevastopol, as long as you and England had 2 units to protect St. Petersburg, because your army in Sevastopol could retreat to Armenia.
The problem, I was going to say that the problem with him taking Sevastopol is that he can then get into Armenia.
Yes, but you could have retreated your army there.
But that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. So
that is an unbreakable defense. You're right.
yeah. So even if he that was mainly why I was trying to get you guys to make sure he can't focus further in the north, because I was pointing out. I think I said this actually. I said even if Italy takes Moscow, Warsaw, and Sevastopol, I mean, we're still okay because the army can retreat to Armenia.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Very good play. Turkey's defensive properties are even more powerful than I'd realized.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a good example of that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You were literally invincible at this point.
Yeah, with just 3 centers and some help from you.
Yeah, with just 3 centers and an ally who holds Sevastopol. Turkey is now invincible.
Yeah, indestructible.
Fortress Turkey.
Yeah. I mean, because I think I mentioned earlier, I'm really happy I kept all my fleets, because, I mean, it's unlikely that Italy would do that, but he did do that, so... Mm-hmm. Yes, he just can't get anywhere with this. He can't get into the Aegean. He can't do anything there.
No, you're right. There's absolutely nothing Italy can do here.
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable. It's a little stalemate line.
Yeah. I think Italy just agreed to a draw at this point because he realized he couldn't make progress.
Yeah, and he was right. He couldn't. Even when we just gamed it out for ourselves, and the live game period was over at this point. We were just playing a regular game.
Yeah,
but
I think that was I think that was helpful also because we had more time to talk with England.
Yes, I agree. Because I think if it was just me talking to England, probably I had kind of put a little bit of a damper on that relationship with my treachery. As can happen every now and then, But I think that it was very good that it had shifted to be a regular game, because I think there really could have been an Italian solo if it stayed a live game. And it wouldn't have been, I don't think it really would have been earned. Because, I mean, again, you really never had allies through the entire game.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that is an important part of the game. It's diplomacy is not a war game. It's a strategy game. There's a difference.
Yeah, you're right.
It's about making alliances and then betraying people.
Yeah.
And also tactics and knowing how to fight your little battles is important, but
yeah,
you can't ignore the diplomacy aspect of diplomacy.
Yeah, I agree. I also think being a good player, it's not just about soloing. It's also really knowing how to stop solos.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'm kind of proud of that because I don't solo all the time, but I'm almost never defeated. Because and I'm usually able to get people working together to stop a solo.
Yeah, I find I'm pretty proud when I can do that too. That's one of my skills as well, is to try and galvanize people into stopping the solo. Although maybe not as good at it as you, frankly.
I think I'm really good at finding the stalemate lines, though. I mean,
But
I really think a lot of times when people solo, it's because people aren't aware of stalemate lines. They don't just really see it.
yeah,
Like if somebody crosses that line, people don't really realize it, and the alarm bells don't go off. And
yes, I think you're right about that. People people don't pay as much attention to that stuff as they should, and don't really observe it.
yeah, I mean, I think most new players or newish players, they don't really know about it. But when you become more experienced, you learn it. But that's I think that's a big part of becoming a good player.
I agree with you. Yeah, it is starting to pay attention to those details because if you don't pay attention to those details, you will lose a lot of games that are otherwise salvageable.
Yeah.
I hope you like what Owl and I produced, Florida Man fans. If you're enjoying my content, please support my channel's growth by liking, subscribing, and commenting. Those things boost me in the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, Florida Man, out.